Okay, that's enough. Listen, first of all, ignore all the noises going on in my house right now. Second of all, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. This video was absolutely spontaneous and absolutely out of nowhere. I just came down here and I need to tell y'all this. It needs to stop. The Joel Embiid disrespect needs to stop. Oh my goodness. I've been on Instagram for the past few days and I've been just surfing around looking at basketball reels, posts, all sort of stuff like that. And I keep seeing people talk about everything Jokic did in the playoffs, everything Jamal Murray did in the playoffs, everything all these guys did in the playoffs. And of course, that's great. They deserve their respect. They deserve that ring. Amazing. Good job to them, right? But then I hear, because if you didn't know, the 2K ratings came out today. The NBA 2K24 ratings, at least for the top players. Or they might have came out yesterday. I don't know for sure. I just saw them today. And Nikola Jokic, he's got a 98 overall. And I'm thinking of, well, like I thought he would have gotten a 97 because 98's a bit high. That's like one overall away from 99. But you know what? He's one of the best players in the league, possibly the best player in the league, if depending on how you're thinking right now. I think that's deserved, right? So then I look at the other overalls. Joel Embiid, he got a 96. I'm like, okay, I mean, that's not bad. I would have rather him got a 97, but he got the same overall as Giannis. And I really think that Jokic, Jokic and Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis those three are all in like the same tier right now of NBA players, as they're like the top three. And then maybe Curry like a little bit below. That's the way I see it right now. But you know what? 96 is fair for Embiid. 96 is fair for Giannis. And then LeBron also got a 96. Curry got a 96. I think KD might have gotten a 96. Luka got a 95. Tatum got a 95. And I was looking in the comments on one of the posts, and it was talking about how Giannis got the same, or it was about how somebody got the same overall as Embiid, as a 96. And then they were like, oh, well, Embiid, one person was like, oh, well, Embiid's the MVP. Sorry for my voice. Embiid's the MVP, so he deserves that rating. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree. And then I see another comment that's below that, fake MVP. And it has way more likes than the one saying that Embiid was the MVP. Oh my goodness. The Embiid disrespect needs to stop. The thing that a lot of people do, I've been wanting to make a video about this for the longest time, but now it's just a random rant. People, a lot of times, overrate playoff performances. And I'm not saying, okay, let me use, because this is a great example. If it's another example that I saw, it's a great example, I think. And first of all, before I say this, no disrespect to Jamal Murray. I love Jamal Murray. I know somebody who knows Jamal Murray personally. I didn't need to mention that, but I love Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's my guy. He's a Canadian hooper, and like I'm Canadian too, so you know what I'm saying? He's representing for the rest of us. I love Jamal Murray. And then there's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander he's become one of my favorite players in the league. Ever since he was on the Clippers, I kind of was paying attention to him because he also came in as another Canadian hooper. And he was hooping on the Clippers that one year they made the playoffs. But then he got traded to OKC. And with Chris Paul, he was starting to grow on. With Chris Paul kind of mentoring him, he became the leader of that team. And then when Chris Paul left, Shai took over. And he actually became a superstar in the league. And made All-NBA first team this year, averaging 30%. Averaging 30 points per game on ridiculous efficiency. Multiple assists, multiple rebounds, bunch of stuff. And he got the Thunder team, which was extremely young, filled with rookies and super young guys and unexperienced people, to the playoffs. Or to the play-in. Not the playoffs, but to the play-in. And they came over teams like Luka and the Mavericks, like Dame. They came over a few teams. And I think they might have actually won the play-in game against the Pelicans. I forgot if they did. If they didn't, whatever. Point being, Shai did his thing last year, and he cooked, and he's, in my opinion, one of the best he's probably the third best point guard, in my opinion, right now. That's a hot take. maybe. But pretty much where I'm going with this. When it came, Shea wasn't in the playoffs because his team wasn't good enough. They made the play-in, but they lost. Jamal Murray in the playoffs. See, all season, Jamal Murray. Let me actually pull this up right now. I'm going to keep talking because I can't really edit this video right now, as y'all saw from last time. Whatever. Jamal Murray in the playoffs was cooking. Jamal Murray was doing amazing in the playoffs. And I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to come out here and say that Jamal Murray was bad in the playoffs. I am, on the other hand, as you can give me a second here, because I saw some atrocious takes out there. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't really edit this out because I don't have the capabilities to do that right now. But Jamal Murray, he was amazing in the playoffs. He was the secondary star to Jokic, who is, of course, as you saw, one of the best players in the league right now. And he's a big reason, probably the second biggest reason why they won a championship. And so he does deserve this ring, and he does deserve all the praise he's been getting. But this is where we can't let recency bias take over our judgment. Because looking at the season stats for Jamal Murray in the season averaged 20 points per game, 6 assists per game, 4 rebounds on 45% from the field, 39% from 3, and 83% from the free throw line. Great stats. He wasn't an all-star, and he did play 65 games, so he did have a good amount of the games to, at least I'm pretty sure he did. He had the qualifications to make the all-star game. But if you look at the all-star voting for this year, and I'm pulling this up all now because this video is really just spontaneous because I just had the idea to do it. Yeah, if you pull up the all-star voting, are you serious? Oh yeah, okay. So in the backcourt Western Conference, if you pull it up right here, you have, wait a minute. Yeah, you have Steph Curry first, Luka second, Ja third, Shea fourth. Okay. Go farther down the list. Of course, all-star voting is decided a good amount by the fans, so you can't really take it too much into account. But then again, in this argument, I guess I can really take it into account because I'm really talking to the fans here. Klay Thompson 5th, Russ 6th, Dame 7, De'Aaron Fox 8, Austin Reeves 9, crazy, but whatever. Devin Booker 10, because he wasn't playing. Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Poole, Anthony Edwards, Desmond Bane, Chris Paul, Jalen CJ, Kevin, Jamal Murray down here, 21st in All-Star voting. And I know All-Star voting isn't the biggest thing because Lonnie Walker's up here. So maybe let me use a different example. But are you really getting my point? Because Jamal Murray is a great player. Jamal Murray averaged 20 points per game. But everybody averaged 20 points a game. What I'm trying to say, let me pull this up in a new tab. What I'm trying to say is Jamal Murray in the season was good, but he wasn't an all-star. He wasn't at the level that Shea was playing. Because if we look at Shea's stats here, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander averaged 31 points per game, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, a block and a steal, on 51% from the field, 34% from 3, but still 90% from the free throw line. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander also played 68 games. Only 3 more games than what Jamal Murray played. So when you think about it that way, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had a much better season than what Jamal Murray had. And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a much better player than Jamal Murray is. Because he led his team, a team full of young, unexperienced guys, to the play-in. Now, Jamal Murray has Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray is a great player. I'm going to keep saying that because I'm not discrediting Jamal Murray. I'm just saying people need to stop overrating playoff performances because just because Jamal Murray averaged 30 and 10 in a 5-game final series doesn't mean that he's better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who averaged 30 in a 68-game season. It's so ridiculous to me how people be overrating playoff performances sometimes and taking it too much into account. Of course, playoff performances matter because playoff performances are when it matters the most. You're trying to win a championship. But sometimes people take it too out of hand. So now, if you look at what people... I remember specifically because I was there at the time. I was there when the season was coming to an end and the MVP debate was coming down to it. It was between Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. And Giannis was kind of falling out of the race because he missed a few games. The Bucks weren't doing as well. So then it was really between Jokic and Embiid. And Jokic was having an amazing season. Jokic was dominating. And at first, Jokic was my MVP. But then, in the last few games of the season, the Nuggets lost a few games. And I remember specifically one game to the Spurs that they lost, where Jokic was getting embarrassed in the defensive end of the ball. The Spurs were taking advantage of Jokic's slowness and how... Because Jokic isn't the greatest defensive player. He's not that good of a defensive player. He's not a bad defensive player. He's not like a extremely horrible defensive player, but he's not the best defensive player. Really where Jokic brings most of his value, or almost all of his value, is on the offensive end. But on defense, they were exposing him because he's really not a defensive guy like AD or Giannis or even Joel Embiid you could put in that conversation. But yeah, so teams were exposing Jokic on the defensive end, and Embiid, on the other hand, was dropping 50 bombs. And everybody now was swaying the conversation to where Embiid should be the MVP. And of course, there was the whole drama with Kendrick Perkins. I'm not here to talk about all that. I'm saying here and now that the public opinion, the general opinion, was that Jokic was having a bad stretch to end the season. So Embiid, with what he kept doing consistently all year, should win MVP. And most people in the NBA media agreed on that. Some people still said Jokic, of course, and he had a great case to win it. But Embiid was the favorite, and Embiid won the award, and then the playoffs came. And Jokic goes against the Timberwolves, he goes against the Suns, he goes against the Lakers, and he goes against the Heat, and he cooks. He cooks all of them, and he wins the championship. But then, Embiid, he goes against the Nets, sweeps, he goes against the Celtics, and they lose. Now let me remind you, the Celtics have debatably the best defense in the league. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They have a great team. I'm not saying that I'm not discrediting what Jokic did at all. Embiid also did have some bad games in that series, I will admit. But the second Embiid lost in the playoffs and the second Jokic won a championship, then everybody switched up. Oh, Jokic should have won MVP. Oh, Jokic was the real MVP. I even heard people in my personal circle switching up to, oh, why isn't Jamal Murray an all-star? Why wasn't Jokic MVP? Jokic should be 3 times. Oh, they just wanted to give it to Embiid because of Kendrick Perkins. They just wanted to give it to Embiid because he hasn't won it, and Jokic already won 2, so they had to give Embiid 1. Where did this come from? We were just talking a month ago or 2 months ago about how Embiid really deserved the MVP because he was playing like that all year. And now at the end of the year, y'all want to switch up just because Embiid got eliminated in the second round? The MVP is a regular season award. If you play bad in the playoffs, but you play like amazing in the regular season, you can win MVP. Just like Russell Westbrook did a few years ago when he averaged a triple-double. He got eliminated in the first round, but he won MVP. Are people saying that's a fake MVP too because Westbrook didn't win in the playoffs? No. So where does this argument come from? Embiid is the MVP. Embiid deserves the MVP, and that is not a fake MVP by any means. Because Jokic, as good as he played in the playoffs, Embiid had a better season than Jokic last year. Some people overrate the playoff performance, and just because of playoff performance, they'll say it's a fake MVP. But you gotta realize, the MVP is a regular season award. Even if Embiid averaged 10, 5, and 2 in the playoffs on 10% efficiency. I wouldn't care. Embiid played better in the regular season, so he wins that award. It's that simple. People gotta stop overrating the playoff performances and stop backtracking on what they said just a few months ago. Because Embiid really deserved that. And I'm not even the biggest Embiid fan. I was an Embiid hater last year, especially because I'm a Raptors fan. Embiid beat us in the playoffs. I did not like Embiid at all. But I have to admit, when a player is playing at that level, Embiid really deserved the MVP award. And everybody, not everybody, but a good amount of the NBA fandom agreed on that. And now everybody's switching up because Jokic won a championship. Jokic won in the playoffs, and they're saying he deserved the regular season award. Does that make sense to you? I got a little heated there, but still, it doesn't make sense to me how people come up with this argument, and it's just whatever. You know, I just came here to rant about that. People need to stop disrespecting Embiid, because Embiid deserved that MVP. As bad as he played in the playoffs, even though he wasn't horrible in the playoffs, as bad as those choking games were, even though he got eliminated in the second round by the second best team in the East, regardless, even if he got eliminated in the second round, Embiid deserves the MVP. Why? It's a regular season award, and he played better than Nikola Jokic in the regular season. So I really wish that the conversation would stop with people saying that Jokic deserved the MVP. Yes, Jokic had an amazing season, but Embiid had a better one, and he deserved the award. So please stop saying that Embiid had a fake MVP, because that's the whole thing that brought me to record this video. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's it. I'm done. I don't have anything else to talk about. That was my main argument. Of course, all due respect to Jokic and Jamal Murray, they cooked. They did their thing, but Embiid deserves it, man. Don't hate on Embiid. Don't hate on Shea. Those guys are both amazing players, and they both played amazing in the regular season. And they deserve the awards they got.